medicine, and thank you very much for joining us on a lunch kind of talk. We hope that it allows us some time to learn, as well as to break the socially distanced lunch sessions that we have all been experiencing over the past year or so. It's very wonderful to see many familiar names, but also equally wonderful to see some new people, new names who are interested in this topic of Google Analytics. So we have a very good team of presenters today. Dr. Othniel Panier, who is working on the project called Accord, which is about e-learning, and another two from another project, Dr. Oi and Dr. William, who are working on a project called SCREENMEN 2, which is not on e-learning, but it's more on the implementation of a website as part of implementation research into men's health screening, using a men's health screening app. So maybe a quick response before we begin. If you can use the reaction button at the bottom. I'll just go through the tree very quickly so that the speakers have a rough idea of who's joining us today. So the first question is, have you heard of Google Analytics before? Give a thumbs up or a clap or a heart if you have heard of Google Analytics before. Okay, so we have 4 or 5 people. Some put like that. I'm not sure if it's yes or no, but I think we have maybe about 10 people here who have heard of it. The second one is thanks for Shazwani. Okay, the second one is, are you planning to use Google Analytics for a website? Are you in charge of some kind of website? So we've got one person who is interested in using it as a kind of website monitoring tool. Okay, the second question is, are you conducting some kind of web-based research? Is that one of, or is this the reason why you're interested to join us today, this session today, to conduct web-based research? Okay, so we have so it seems that it's more towards the research component of Google Analytics, and that's great because I think that's what the speakers will be covering today. So I'm going to invite our first speaker, Othniel, to present. He'll present for about 20 minutes, followed by Joe and William for another 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then I think we'll have 10 to 15 minute slot at the end of the hour for Q&A or any questions, any directions you want from the speakers. Okay. Othniel?
Hello. Test mic. Can hear?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Yukong, for this opportunity, and also thank you everyone for taking your time to join this session. So I'm Othniel. I'm a research assistant for the Accord project. So now let me just share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Can see the slides?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you put the slide?
Is this the presenter view or the slide view?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So the project that I'm working on is the Accord project. So it's Accord stands for Advancing Co-Creation of RLOs to Digitize Healthcare Curricula. So this project is co-funded by the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union. So we have partners from the EU and also from Malaysia. So from Malaysia, we have University of Malaya, University Putra Malaysia, and Taylor's University. And while from the EU side, we have University of Nottingham, Karolinska Institute, and University of Stavanger that is currently working on this project with us. So what are RLOs? RLOs are reusable learning objects. The definition of an RLO is an interactive multimedia web-based resource based on a single learning objective, which can be used in multiple contexts. So these are the characteristics of an RLO. They are evidence-based, pedagogical design-based, multimedia learning theories. They are small in size, where you can complete it within 5 to 50 minutes, where we apply the chunking theory, and we are focused on single learning goals or objective. The RLOs uses a mix of media, hence being interactive, and it can be used standalone as a learning object or a learning resource. And finally, it's designed by communities. Communities, in here, it means that educators and also the users or students. So these are the 7 RLOs that University of Malaya has created with co-creation and collaboration. So we have 3 for primary care medicine, and 1 from the pediatricians, 1 from the geriatrician and nutritionist, 1 from nursing, and 1 from the librarians and evidence-based medicine. So all these RLOs are up and running right now. So we are actually monitoring these RLOs. So this is the homepage for our RLOs, and in this homepage, it also includes the RLOs that are produced by our partners as well, from our Malaysian partners. So just a short disclaimer, I am not a Google ambassador, and I am not paid by Google for this, though I secretly hope they will. This is just a sharing of how the Accord team applied Google Analytics into our RLOs and how we monitored, how we track the users. So the agenda now is how to incorporate and how to monitor. So what can you get when you use Google Analytics? You can see the amount of traffic your site gets overall, the websites that your traffic came from, individual page traffic, demographic information of visitors, means where they access your website from, whether it's mobile or desktop traffic. Traffic means interaction or engagement. So there are 6 steps to incorporating it. First is setting up a Google account. Then you need to set up Google Tag Manager, GTM, create a Google Analytics account, set up analytic tags with Google Tag Manager, and then you need to set up the goals, aka the KPI, and then link to Google Search Console for ease of access. So why we talk about GTM, Google Tag Manager, and not GA alone? Because the situation is like, as the picture mentioned, Google Tag Manager is a whole, while Google Analytics is one of the output. So as explained here, it's GTM is the manager tool, and you select what the outputs that you want. So in our project, we select Google Analytics, Universal Analytics as the output that we want. So traditionally, when we were using GA last time, we need to incorporate the code into the back-end code for every interaction or traffic that you want to monitor for the website. So with Google Tag Manager, all we need to do is incorporate the code once via Google Tag Manager into the website, and then activate the tag from Google Tag Manager page, and you publish it. So the first step is setting up a Google account. This is how you would set up your Gmail account as well. Then after that, we would need to set up Google Tag Manager. Just go to tagmanager.google.com. And then setting up the container. Container is just the name of your the container of the tags, where you keep all your tags and you keep all your outputs. So then you need to copy the code into your website. So place it below the head and after the body of the script. So just a note, if you have multiple pages, you would need to paste it on each page. So if you are using WordPress, you can install the insert headers and footers plugin. So all you need to do is just copy the code once into the settings where there is the settings of scripts in header. Just copy the code once there, and then it will be activated in all of the pages of your website. So for our RLOs, we are using the cPanel system. So we need to incorporate the codes, put up the codes in each of the pages. So this is how it looks like. Yeah, it's a bit overwhelming, but it's quite not too hard to learn once you get the gist of it. So as I mentioned earlier, it is one side would be below the head, and then the other one would be below the body of the code. Okay. So since you have completed the setting up Google Tag Manager, now you would need to create a Google Analytics account. Just follow the website analytics.google.com, or can just Google Google search engine Google Analytics account. So just setting up the account, put up the name of your account, which can be name of your website as well. And then once you have created, it will come up something like this. So what I have set up is a Accord UM, and then this is the second RLO that we had, treatment plan for patients with acute illness. So after that, we need to create a property because from what you have at first is just account, but you don't have the tracker for the website. So you need to create a property. And then once you have created a property, you will be given a unique tracking ID, and then you just need to put in the property name and the URL of the website. Then go back to GTM, Google Tag Manager, add new tag, set up the configuration where we would choose the output as Google Analytics. So if you are using your website to generate something else as well, such as marketing or any other advertisement for generating income, you can also output it as Google Ads conversion tracking or all those other stuff. But in our research project, these were irrelevant to it. Then you have to select the variables, what you would want to track. So then once you have selected the variable, you will be notified to put in the tracking ID. So the tracking ID was the one that was the unique tracking ID that was given to you when you set up the Google Analytics property just now. So just put it in there, just copy and paste it. So after that, you will need to choose the trigger, activate for all pages. So then next we need to check if the tag is fired properly or not, meaning whether it works. So just click preview, and then you will be taken to a debugger mode. So the debugger mode will come out something like this at first. Then just copy and paste your website URL, and then you start the debug mode. So something like this will pop up, and then a few seconds after that will come out. Your website will come out, and there will be a notification where it states that debugger connected. When you see this notification, it means that your Google Tag Manager, the output is fired properly and it's activated. So all you need to do is just publish the changes. You would need to publish the changes because if you don't, then it will not be saved. Yeah. So next is setting up the goals. Setting up the goals are KPI for Google Analytics to read on your website. So how do we go into setting up the goals? It will be in admin, then you will be taken to this page again. So under all website data, you would see goals. So under the goals section, just add new goal. So for our RLO, we have set up duration and pages per session as the goals. So something will come out like this. Just follow through. It's pretty much self-explanatory on this part. So just put the type is duration and the name. So next, last is linking to Google Search Console. So linking to Google Search Console, still in the admins page, under property setting, you need to adjust Search Console. So then just click on add, and then you would need to add your site to the Search Console. So what happens here is that when you add your site into the Search Console, it will make it easier for other people to search for your website in Google search engine. So after all has been set up, what to monitor? So there are 5 reports that we can monitor from Google Analytics. We have real-time, audience acquisition, behavior, and conversion. So the explanation of each would be real-time report shows an overview of visitors to the site at that very moment, meaning real-time tracking. Then audience gives information about visitors based on attributes relevant to your business and your goals that you have set up, meaning your pages per session, duration, like what we have set up for our RLOs. Acquisition is for we can see where the audience is coming from in the world and as well as online, meaning whether it's from a direct link or whether it's from the search console or from referral codes from other websites. Behavior report shows how users move through and interact in the website. So how they move through the pages, which pages they go through, and which pages they exit or they close off. Conversion, this one is for marketing efforts, quite irrelevant for our project at the moment, unless we plan to make it profitable project. Yeah. So this is a real-time report, example of a real-time report. So this is just an example. I opened up it sometime and then it states that I am accessing it from the desktop. So this is the first page of the RLO, and where am I accessing it from, where the users are accessing it from. So audience overview, you can see in the timeline, this is for the treatment of acute illness RLO. So the timeline is from 19 October to 17 February. 19 October was when we released the RLO. So what we can see is the peaks, the number of how many users in the duration that you set up. So what we notice is that the users peak when there are workshops by the lecturers. So generally, what do we do with the information is, because for our project, we incorporate pre, post, and 6 weeks evaluation responses. So we put it as the pre-evaluation form would be before they start using the RLO, and the post-evaluation form is after they have completed the RLO, which is actually incorporated in the RLO itself. And then following that, 6 weeks after that, we would give them the evaluation form again. All 3 evaluation forms contain the same question. So we just want to see the changes in knowledge that before using the RLO, after using the RLO, and 6 weeks after, meaning knowledge retention. So what we do is we use this information and then we compare it with the users that access our RLO. Okay, so this is how it looks in the RLO. It's incorporated inside the RLO. So this is acquisition. So acquisition, as mentioned before, it means how are the users accessing our RLOs. So generally, we have direct link, organic search, meaning from Google search engine. Referral is from other websites, meaning our RLO is being put up in other websites. And then social is social media. So from what we have right now, most of our RLOs are accessed via direct link. And then this is for the, if you want to see on behavior, go to behavior tab here and then all pages. So this is how it looks like for all of the pages that for that particular RLO. So you can see each page of your website, how is what is the number of the page views, the average time taken in each page, the entrances, bounce rate, and exit. So the terms here, it may be a bit overwhelming. So just to explain, bounce means single page session on your site. So in analytics, a bounce is calculated specifically as a session that triggers only a single request to the analytics server. So a user opens up a single page on your site and then exits without triggering any other requests. So then bounce rate is single page sessions divided by all sessions, or the percentage of all sessions on your site, which users viewed only a single page and triggered only a single request. Single request meaning they entered that page and then they go out. So exit is an indicator of how often users exit from that page. So to put it into an example, so from Monday to Friday, an example, you have 3 pages in your website. So for Monday, the users entered page B first and then move to page A and then move to page C and then exit. So for Tuesday, page B and then exit. Page A, Wednesday is page A, C, B and exit. While Thursday only access page C and then exited. For Friday, page B, C, A and exited the site. So how do we calculate the bounce rate and the exit rate? So the exit rate for page A, there are it's 33% because there are 3 sessions included where it includes page A. 1 session exited from page A. So as we can see here, in Monday, the users entered page A. Then Wednesday, they also entered page A, and in Friday, they entered page A. So out of this, all of this, only on Friday, they exited from page A. So it's 3 entrances into page A and 1 exit from page A. So that's 33%. Yeah, so generally it's just like that. While for bounce rate, page A 0%. 1 session began with page A, but that was not single page session, so it has no bounce rate. So basically, no one entered page A and exited immediately. That's how it is. But we can see for page C, 100%, 1 session started off with page C and it leads to a bounce, meaning, as we can see from the timeline earlier, in Thursday, a user entered page C of your website and then immediately exits. So that is what we call a bounce. So the general idea is, if your starting page or your landing page has high bounce rate or exit rate, it means it's not good, it's bad. But if your last page has high exit rate, then it's generally good because it means that we kind of expected the last page for users to exit from. So that's how it is. So putting it into perspective of our RLO, we can see that the bounce rate for page 4.html here is 100%, meaning once the users enter here, let's say they just directly load up this page and then they immediately exit it. So that's how it is. And then, but we can see for exit rate, 11.html is our last page in this RLO. We can see a high exit rate. So this is something to be expected because this is the last page. So the challenges that we face in using the analytics. So this is just a graph of comparison among the pre-post evaluation and 6 weeks responses and the users recorded by Google Analytics until 17th February 2021, which is around last week. So what we can see here is that there's quite a discrepancy between the collected responses and the users, number of users recorded in using the RLOs. So what we can see, high number of users, not enough responses collected. And then specifically for RLO1, our tracking was delayed. So we had a discrepancy of users not tallying up with the responses that we have collected. So it made that the responses has a higher number than the users recorded. So this reason, why is this so is because one of the problem was because I installed Google Analytics code and also Google Tag Manager's code into the back-end coding of that particular RLO. So there are two tags firing at once, which resulted in confusion into Google Analytics. So then it couldn't track the pages properly. So yeah, then only after I think around a month or so, then only we noticed that it had some issues in tracking each pages. So then we checked. After that, we solved it. So then it's okay for now. But then yeah, generally in overall report, we can see there's a delay in it lah. Yeah. So references that I used for this particular session sharing session is from Google itself, the support from Google, and a blog, a guide blog on how to setting up a Google Analytics. Yep. I think that's all from me. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sophia, for sharing with us about the CORD project and how it uses the Google Analytics to track RLO usage.
Yep.
Our next speaker is Joe.
I can start now? Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving us this time to share with you all the work that we are doing during your precious lunch hour. I hope that you benefit from this talk. Without further ado, I will move into my talk. Okay, can you all see this? Okay, so just now, Neil has shared about how to set up Google Analytics. For us, we are more on the practical side, is that how we actually use Google Analytics to analyze web traffic as part of research design, a case study for SCREENMEN 2. So what we are doing, we're going to talk about is, we're going to share a bit what is the app that we are using, which is a web-based app for mental health screening, which is called SCREENMEN. And then what we are currently doing with the app, which is the implementation of SCREENMEN, which is the SCREENMEN 2 project. And then after that, my colleague, which is Dr. William, will share about how we use Google Analytics to measure the data that we want to get. So a bit of introduction. So SCREENMEN is a web-based app for mental health screening. So this is a screening app which is developed in-house by a colleague of mine also, which is here, Chin-Hai, for his PhD project. So this SCREENMEN web-based app is an interactive web-based app to help men in order for them to know what are the things that they need to screen for. So this app has some unique features, which is, first of all, it is in 3 languages, and it is compatible across devices, means that you can actually access it whether from a laptop or a phone or even from a tablet, because it only requires you to have a web browser and an internet connection. And also, at the end, when the patient actually finishes the app, he can actually download a comprehensive health report based on what they have inputted into the app. So this is just a very brief screenshots of SCREENMEN. So SCREENMEN comes in actually 2 versions, which is there's a long consult, which is it takes about 15 minutes to complete. So this version is where the patient will have an interaction with the app. So every input they put in, there will be some advice for them based on what they put. And of course, the second one is a 5-minute quick consult. This one is just they answer the questions. After they finish answering the questions, there'll be a summary of the recommendations for them after they finish it. And this is just a screenshot of the first page based on the different languages that is available. So what we are currently doing now, we are actually trying to pilot test this app in Klinik Kesihatan, a government clinic, health clinic. So this, the study design that we're using is a 1 group 3 post design. And this study is now currently ongoing in Klinik Kesihatan Ceras Baru. And the study population that we are currently studying are healthcare providers and patients as well. Healthcare providers is for them to feedback to us what are their views and also how do they feel about using this web-based app as a way of screening for men. And patients' side is to know also how their behavior on accessing the web and how many of them actually try the web app and how many actually completed it. So for this talk, we're actually focusing more on the patient side because they are the ones who will access the web page and we want to know what is their behavior like using the app. And the duration of the study will be for 3 months. It started in the mid of January and we are expecting to end at about March or April based on the current situation. And the data collection method is a quantitative and qualitative methods. But we are today we're only focusing on the Google Analytics part, so it's only the quantitative part of it. So basically, this is the flow of the study. So what we did is first we recruit healthcare providers who are interested to join the study. After that, the healthcare providers are given implementation strategies. Implementation strategies here are what are the strategies that they can use to actually reach out to men with the web-based app with SCREENMEN. So we actually provided some workshop. We provided flyers, pamphlets for them, and we also provided buntings and banners and also posters so that they can use all these as promotional tools to reach out to men to use SCREENMEN. After that, once this have all been done, they are the ones who started to recruit patients to join the study to use the SCREENMEN app. So the implementation period will be for about 3 months and then it will be the end of the study. So this is the framework that we use to evaluate the outcome of the implementation of SCREENMEN. So there are actually 5 aspects to this framework known as REAIM: reach, effectiveness, adoption, implementation, and maintenance. But for this presentation, we are only focusing on the reach, which is talking about how do I reach those who need the intervention. So this is where Google Analytics come in, because we want to know actually how many patients access SCREENMEN, how many patients completed SCREENMEN, because there's a difference between access and complete. Access is just they open the web page, but they may not follow through to actually complete it. Then after that, what is the duration to complete SCREENMEN? Also, this is because we want to understand how long actually they take to do the SCREENMEN app, and how patient access SCREENMEN. So this is where the behavior part of it. So just like I mentioned earlier, there are a few ways that they can access SCREENMEN, whether they use it the banner or from the posters or the Facebook page, which the Klinik Kesehatan has actually set up, and also whether they input directly the web page into the website. So we want to understand how do they actually access SCREENMEN. Okay, so with that, I will pass the time to Dr. Williams, and he will explain more on all this. Over to you, William.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay, so let me just quickly share my screen. And okay, so yeah, I'll be talking about the implementation aspect of using Google Analytics to collect data for SCREENMEN. So what I'll be covering is what are the outcomes that are being measured and how we have obtained those outcomes. What are some of the issues that we have faced and how we solve those issues, and what are some of the limitations of using Google Analytics that we have discovered. All right. So as mentioned earlier, we do have 2 different questionnaires available on our website of SCREENMEN. One is the 15-minute version, which is a more comprehensive version. Another one is a quick health screening, which takes about around 5 minutes. So the outcomes measured will be, as mentioned, the number of individuals who has accessed the questionnaire and number of individuals who completed the questionnaire. And what has been done is that the URL that is provided for the 2 different versions are actually different. And the URL for the end of the questionnaire is the same. So we will use this to track how the users have access and whether they have completed or not. So I will demonstrate this on Google Analytics. So as you can see here, this is our home page. And what we can do is go to Audience, and click on User Explorer. So you'll see all the client ID as shown here, and this client ID is actually just a record of a unique date number to record the device that has accessed our website. Okay, so I'll just show all the users that we have, and I'll take this user for example. Okay, so as you can see, this user has accessed the website on the 19th and the 20th of January, and what we can do is just click on the time, and we can see all the interactions that they have on our web page. So as mentioned earlier, the URL of /quick0 is the one for the quick questionnaire. So this user has accessed the start of the quick questionnaire and completed all the way up to /ready, which is the last page of the questionnaire. So if they have access and they have reached the last page, we consider them as having completed the questionnaire. So these are the two important URLs that we look at. However, we can also see that this person accessed the questionnaire on the 20th of January. But this time the person actually accessed the long questionnaire, which is the more comprehensive one, which is starting with the URL of /first. So we can see that they have started the questionnaire and they have progressed through the questionnaire, but they have stopped at a /BMI, which is one of the pages in the questionnaire, and have not proceeded further. So this would mean that they have not completed the questionnaire. All right. The next thing is to see the time taken to complete the questionnaire, and that is rather straightforward. All we do is just look at when they have started, which is 9:24, and when they have reached the last page, which is 9:35. So the time difference in this case is 11 minutes. So they have taken about 11 minutes to complete the questionnaire. The next thing will be, what are the points of access to SCREENMEN? As Dr. Joe earlier has mentioned, that there are different posters or bunting being put around in KK Cheras, and we want to see which one of them has benefited to bring more people into SCREENMEN. And these, what we do is that we just have each QR code that is being displayed labeled accordingly. So either a /bunting or /poster and so forth. So I can just demonstrate this to you, and it looks rather similar. So for example, I will use this data, and I can just click on this and see what they have accessed, and we can see that they have accessed /bunting. So we know that this is their point of access to SCREENMEN. Okay. Now moving on to the next thing, issues faced and how they were overcome. So we will also want to know if our users are first-time users, and how do we make sure that we only record the data from that particular user once and not repeatedly record their data every single week. So there's a concept of all users and new users, which I will demonstrate. So moving on back to the User Explorer tab, you can see this is all users and 100% of the users, meaning to say that there's 70 out of 70 is here. So what we want to do is to add a filter for just the new users, meaning to say they've only accessed the page once. So we click on the add segment and type in new user. So this is a default filter that we can use, and click apply. All right. So you can see here that comparing from all users, and when I click on new users, you can see that's only about 84% and 59 out of 70 who are new users, which would mean that 11 out of 70 are actually users who have accessed the website repeatedly, and we would not like to take their data because we have already recorded it once. Okay, so that's how we do that. The next thing would be how to ensure that our data are only from Malaysians. This is a valid question because we are using a website, and this website is available to anywhere or anyone around the world. So how do we make sure that we are only focusing on Malaysians who are our population of our study? So what we can do is by filtering demographics in the User Explorer tab as well. So back again to our User Explorer tab, we're using the same thing, but in this case now we're adding a different thing. So now we're going to add a filter of the demographics. So we click on new segment here. Okay, you can see the tab demographics, go to location, and you can click on the country and just set Malaysia. All right, so I can just label this as Malaysians and save. So now you'll see a new filter, which is just mainly only for Malaysians. So we can see that out of all the users, which are 70 people, only 60% or 42 individuals who are only Malaysians, or they have accessed this from Malaysia. And now if we want to combine new users and Malaysians together, what we can do is we can just edit this. And this is another method of actually adding in new users. What you can do is go to conditions here and add another filter. So in this case, for a new user would be user type. So you can just key that in, user type here. And the keyword is new visitor, which will pop up directly. So now all I need to do, I can just rename it to new visitor, and save. So now our data pool will change as well. And as you can see here, there will only be 32 out of 70, or 45% of all the users that have accessed our website are the ones that we will take from the study. So it will only have up to 45% that are included in our data collection, right? So moving on to some of the limitations. So as we have mentioned earlier, the way that Google Analytics record its data is based on the device that's being used, and each device has a unique user ID registration. So one of the limitations that we have is that the same user may have accessed our website using two different devices. For example, using their phone and then using their laptop. And we will have two different sets of data recorded because it's coming from two different devices, but it's both coming from the same user, so that may contaminate our data. Another thing to take note is that the timestamp on Google Analytics may not reflect the true time taken to complete the questionnaire. And why we say this is because the user may be idle or away from their device. However, the timer is still running as the web page is still open. So an example of this would be if, let's say, the user is using it on their laptop and has to go to the toilet or has to pick up an emergency phone call, but the web page is still left on. So the timer will still be running, but they are not actually actively using the questionnaire. And that may result in not a true reflection of the true time taken to complete the questionnaire. So that is one of the limitations of our study as well. So this is just to share with you some of the results we have obtained so far. We have divided it into the Consult Dr. SCREENMEN, which is the long version, and the quick version. And what are the different points of access to SCREENMEN, and we've divided them by the dates accordingly. So this is updated until of last week, which is the 18th of February. So that ends my presentation. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, you can ask them or pop them in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, thanks to the three speakers. And actually, I think William, we can't turn off your video yet because we do have questions for you in the chat. Can you perhaps I think we start from the first one from Hilmi. So if you use the VPN as the tracker, can you track whether these are Malaysians? As in their I suppose nationality lah. It's also related to the second one. What if Malaysians use your?
Yep, I think based on my understanding of how a VPN works, you actually cannot track whether they are Malaysians or whether it's access from Malaysia. And that's the whole point of VPN. So that would be another limitation of our study. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I just add on. I think there's a misunderstanding because the study doesn't look at whether they are Malaysians or not, but where are they accessing it from? Because we want to get the data from people who access it through the clinic. So the way that we want to look at is if we know that they are accessing it from Malaysia, and then we can even narrow it down to the region as well, like for example, KL, Selangor, then more likely these people got the access from the clinic. Of course, it will be more certain if they got it scanned from the QR code, because you have a unique QR code for each of the modalities like banner, the posters, the postcard that is in the clinic. So if they scan the QR code there and we saw it, then we are sure they're taking it from the clinic. The issue is always those who put in directly. For example, they key in the website directly, then there's no way we know whether this person is actually accessed. They know about SCREENMEN from the clinic or not, because now we are implementing the pilot study in the clinic. So the point is actually we want to know where they are accessing from, so that we want to know whether we can actually include them into the data set. So if we know that they are accessing from China, for example, then we know they didn't get the info about SCREENMEN from the clinic, and most likely they happen to stumble upon it. So we will exclude these people who actually access it from other parts of the world. So that's the reason why we do this. I hope that answered the question. We are not actually looking at the nationality, but more actually where, which country or which region they are actually accessing from, the location. Yeah.
Okay. So there's no way to segment that user into more specific social demographic information. I think there's a question here from Ming Lee, where she's wondering if actually those unique ID tags that you have, are they somehow linked outside to that user's Google profile, and Google is pulling in information for you from other websites, other accounts that they may have, such as Lazada.
Okay. William, okay, if I answer this. Okay. So from my limited understanding, of course, if there are others who have more experience, you can correct me. What Google is pulling from actually is from the Google profile. Means when you set up the account, right? So these are the things that you actually can key in, like your gender, your age, your date of birth, not your age. Actually, you actually key in your date of birth. Where are you from? So these are the data that Google acquired when you set up a Google account. So from my understanding is, if you have a Google account and you access SCREENMEN, for example, you access it from Google Chrome, and you sign in, or any other, you use Google search and you already signed in, so they actually have your data inside already. So that is where the data Google is actually pulling from. So I don't think they're actually able to pull from Lazada or your Shopee account. I don't think so for Google Analytics purposes. This is my understanding. Yeah.
Okay, there's Helmi's question. Is you're using the internet locality as a proxy. I think you've answered that a bit, or where actually people who are accessing from your KK intervention.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And I think Samso has asked, William, you shared two limitations just now. What are your strategies to kind of control for these limitations? Perhaps you can reshare that slide also.
Let me just reshare that slide. Can you see my screen? Hold on. Let me just minimize this.
Yep.
Talking about this one here, yeah? This slide? Yeah, so I think as mentioned, this will be something a little bit more tricky to try and solve them, because it is based on how Google Analytics have record its data. So what we can actually, one of the ideas we can actually look at is that, if we were to implement something like having them to key in their name and maybe the name and their IC at the start of the questionnaire, then we will know it's coming from the same person and we will omit that from our data. So that's something that we can use to overcome this user ID registration. With regards to the time taken, this is something that's going to be a little bit tricky as well, because we're not actively controlling the time that they take to complete the questionnaire. So I think this will be one of the limitations that will be a little bit difficult to overcome. We just have to accept that the time taken is not 100% the true time taken that they're actively using the questionnaire, unless they're doing it in front of us and we are timing it directly. Yeah.
Joe? Yeah.
Yeah, so that is the issue. The duration is a bit more tricky. That's why it's very difficult to actually do that. But for the user ID registration, unless they actually key in, like I say, because Google profile is able to pull in the data, we can actually look at their Google profile. So if the Google profile match for two different user ID, then perhaps we know that this is the same person. But it is a lot more hassle to actually look at each and every one of them to know whether they are the same person or not. So we have to acknowledge this also another limitation. But this is what our understanding so far, unless there are others who have more experience using it, you have another way of doing it. We would like to learn from you as well. I think that's why we want to share this, so that we can learn from one another if there's anyone else who is also doing this. Yeah.
So your SCREENMEN app, website app,
Yes.
There's no need for them to register an account.
No, they don't have to register. They just another thing that it will be helpful if you all try the SCREENMEN app. Yeah, because if you do that, then you'll know actually how it works. But we didn't share because I think for time limitation, if you want to share that, it will take some time to actually show you the flow on how actually the SCREENMEN app works. So that's why we didn't. But basically, you don't have to register. You just go to the website and you just follow through, because it is very patient-centered. It's a self-administered questionnaire. You just follow the instruction. It's very interactive. It's very straightforward. And you just follow through and you'll be able to answer accordingly. You don't need to sign up, no need to sign in, nothing like that. Right, Chin Hai? He's the one who developed it. It's very good. Yeah, very user-friendly.
Okay. So I think a lot of the questions that have come in are actually around how you're trying to get control for the validity of your data. There's some things like if people can create their own Google profile. I think Helmi has mentioned about impression-based analytics, which mainly started the discussion on. But I think what you're saying is that it's not pulled out from anywhere else. It's not pulled from other Lazada profiles or a composite of other profiles. It's just whatever they put into Google.
Very unlikely, from my understanding.
Hi, it's Ming Lee here. Can I just add on something? So I'm a psychologist from ID UMMC. Like I said to Joe just now in the message, I'm also running a website that my target is also men, because I'm actually giving a directory for PrEP, prevention for HIV medication. So I use Google Analytics for the past, I think, 2-3 years. And one of the issue that we have, that was really a pilot study. And the issue that we had with our data so far is that we collect about 30% female user, which we know that is not right. And so the next step forward for us for that website is actually creating a user account. At the initial stage where we did not create the account was that we want it to be accessible to everyone, so that people can use it more for a screening purpose and to get information. But now we realize that if we go to target our population even further, we would really need specific informations of our user. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Yeah, correct. So thank you, Ming. You brought up a very good point, is that we have no idea whether these people who access are actually men or actually they are women. Yeah, so I think that's where it's about your research question, because we just want we are trying to find out who are the people, how many people actually access, and we are not really looking on the specific on the behavior or how effective it is and things like that yet. And also what I did to add on to this is, if we actually modify the SCREENMEN app in a sense that at the end, there's actually a questionnaire that can actually answer as well. So that is where actually I can pick up additional data, like whether they will go for screening or not, which is more tailored specific for men. So that is another way I also try to collect data to make sure that these people who actually access are actually men. Yeah, so that's another way. I actually created an additional Google form where they can actually click on the link at the end of SCREENMEN, so that there is also another thing to collect where they will have to identify whether they're going to do the different things. So those are for more specific for men. So if they do all that, then more likely they are men compared to their women. So, but to be exactly sure, I think like what you mentioned, you might need to ask them to register. But again, even if they register, they can always fake it. So if they want to fake it, I think it's very hard to actually know whether they are really men or not. I mean, this is my view. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think from a discussion of using the tool, it has become a discussion of how people have been able to trick the website. But I think Chinhai has a really good summary point. Maybe it's if there are any other questions, perhaps. If not, I think what we can do is actually read the Chinhai is also part of this study, most studies actually. So I think there's no need to apologize for the way this discussion has moved, because that really is the concern with this tool that we have. There probably needs to be a number of acknowledgement of the limitations upfront, and a number of ways to control for those limitations. So Chinhai's got a really good summary there. I'll let you guys read it.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
Which is, I think what I say is true. So this is what happens in a real study, and I think another thing is also using Google Analytics is also something very new to all of us. That's why the sharing is for us to learn from one another is possible. But I think it will benefit us more next time if we can also look at people who are in the computer science, those who actually use a lot of Google Analytics. I think they will have more to share on how they actually filter the data, because the data is just too enormous sometimes for us to actually know what we actually really want, and the filtering is the tricky part there. Yeah.
Okay, so let's give a round of applause to the 3 speakers on Zoom. How do you do this? Okay, thanks everyone for participation today. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.